I'm in Connecticut right now, and I'm here for a few more days, and I know that I put a blog post up last week about anxiety and depression, and I got a huge amount of people that messaged me and said that they were facing such similar things and tons of different, mental health issues and whatever in their lives. So I wanted to film a video today that asked some parents how they teach their kids about social media, body image, mental health, and suicide, especially after the video that Logan Paul released. And I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't really care at all about him, but I think that there's an underlying message that is a reason why a lot of people were upset about this video. And it's because suicide and depression and anxiety aren't talked about enough. And so we're gonna talk to some people today and just get an honest answer for them about how they handle suicide and the topic of mental health and social media with their kids. How do you bring up the topic of like social media and body image and suicide and mental health to your kids, or like are you preparing to do that as they get older?
Yeah, I've already done that with my daughter. She's 15 and she's struggled with like anxiety and stuff like that. So I've already, I've talked to her about it.
Really? Okay. What's one piece of advice you would give to parents who are kind of nervous about talking about this with their kids or not sure how to handle like cell phones and Snapchat and everything? What's your piece of advice?
I would definitely say don't ignore it. Definitely, if you feel something's going on or you see a difference or something, definitely take the first step and, just talk to them, see how they're feeling. And if not, maybe seek advice from somebody else.
These moms are definitely much younger than my mom. My mom's like 65, which might explain why some of the other moms who I was asking were seeming to be a little bit older, because I think a lot of older moms don't know too much about social media, which obviously makes sense because it's completely different from when they grew up. But these moms actually have a lot to say about it, which is interesting because what I've found out is that a lot of moms and parents especially don't even know how to handle this topic. One of the moms that we just talked to that was actually at Walmart, she just basically said that she actually took her daughter when she like saw signs of things were going on and she was getting really anxious. She literally took her daughter to a therapist and started making her see a therapist every week, and she said it's drastically improved her attitude. So how do you kind of go about teaching your kids and kids that you teach in school about social media and body image?
It's difficult. I feel like every day there's something new to combat in terms of social media. We do teach a unit. I teach a current events class. I teach at a high school, and we do have a whole unit on body image and the media and how it's portrayed, at least in the terms of current events. I'm really interested to see what happens in light of all of this stuff that's happening now, with like the Me Too campaign and how sexual harassment perhaps is some extension to that, you know. But we deal with, this is how the media portrays you versus how you combat your own perception of yourself. I know our English classes, they also do extensive projects on mental illness, mental awareness, body image, body dysmorphia, all that stuff. So we do a lot in terms of examining those issues at the high school level.
Are you familiar with what happened with Logan Paul with his video?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
It was pretty awful. I think he's, from what I know, right, I did not know of him before. I'm too old now that I've never heard of him before this. But from what I understand, I feel like at least YouTubers in that way are sort of they're like the shock jocks of what I grew up with, like the Howard Sterns, you know what I mean? I think he was looking for perhaps views and, likes, whatever you get on YouTube, and he was trying to shock people, and I think it was not the reaction he thought he was going to get, and I think his apology didn't seem genuine, at least not to me. Our own community has dealt with suicide, so for us, at least in the town that I teach in, it hit home, and it was hard, and but it's the age we live in, people like to view stuff like that, and unfortunately people get hurt, and I think it contributes to the problem and to mental illness. And
what advice would you give to parents who are not sure how to navigate talking about social media or body image with their kids?
Well, my kid is only 10 months old, so I'm not sure if I'm doing anything right, and I don't know if I should give any advice parenting, but I can say as a teacher, I do think kids do not talk to their parents, and from what I can tell, a lot of parents are oblivious to what kids go through. And I don't think it's the parents' fault. I think it's just the nature of kids not wanting to share. You know, I remember being like that, but now it's just magnified. You really can't escape the body image stuff. You know, you see it everywhere you go. Kids are on multiple platforms for social media, so they can't escape it.
So that was interesting to get the perspective from a mom who has a 10-month-old. So it's like, how do parents figure out as their kids are getting older and they're born in this day and age of social media, you know, what is the best advice? And the one piece of advice that parents are asking me when I turn the camera off is literally not to be a helicopter parent, which is what I talked about on the Today Show. I'll link that link below, which was from last year, I believe. But it's really just talking to your kids about, if you're so afraid to show me what's on social media, then what are you putting on your profiles that can really hurt you in the future? And I think showing examples to your kids, showing them about social media and what it can do to them, and episodes of people who have, you know, hurt themselves and committed suicide, just to show kids that this is actually real life. And posting about suicide and mental health issues, it's never, ever, ever, ever funny.
So my plan to help teach my kids about social media is to just talk to them about how our information goes out there and anyone can have it. And also, I think a big part of it is overall developing a very trusting relationship with my child or my children, so that they feel comfortable asking questions if they you know, find something on the internet they're not sure about or something like that. And I'll probably do some kind of monitoring of when they do have devices.
Yeah. Do you know what age you plan to give your kids, like, cell phones?
I have no idea. I have a neighbor who just, I think is about 10 or 11, and she got one, and that seemed too soon for me. We don't have iPads or anything like that for him yet. We have like a leapfrog, but when I go to when I go back home, I see a couple of cousins of his who do have access to like iPads and, you know, YouTube, and some of the stuff I see on there I do not like at all.
Yeah.
So
well, I have ones that are older, so they don't matter anymore.
Okay.
They do on social media, whatever. But I have 11-year-old twins.
Oh wow. Okay. So have they come home at all talking about social media, or like, do they have cell phones, and how do you go about teaching them how to properly, like, navigate the internet?
They have cell phones all the time.
Okay.
They're pretty much on their screens all day. You know, I don't put any like parental things on it, actually. I've always gone by that. I don't put it on until I don't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's worked well, believe it or not. But I talk to them every day about it, pretty much.
Okay.
Just about, you know, who you're talking to. Don't make sure that whoever you invite is only your friends, and stuff like that.
Okay.
And make their accounts private and stuff like that.
Okay, so I just finished interviewing a bunch of parents. I went to like 7 different grocery stores, like 10 people said no, and the rest of the parents were really open and honest about how they thought social media was affecting kids. So now I have one of my favorite kids here who is 12, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about basically this situation, what his friends thought, and how he would go about kids handling suicide and talking about social media. So this is Elijah. So Elijah, you follow Logan Paul, right?
Yes.
What did you think about this video?
So before the video got taken down, I actually did see the video. I thought when I watched the video, I knew that he did do crazy things, and I was a little shocked because showing someone in such a vulnerable moment, especially someone who just killed themselves, you could tell it was recent. I thought it was a little disgusting how he showed like the hands all black and blue and purple. Especially he was talking to lots of his fans saying, if you were suicide or depressed, you should seek help, but here he is showing someone who was and just committed suicide, so I thought that was a little shocking.
What about your friends? Like, what they said?
My friends were really shocked too. They said it was like disgusting, he shouldn't be on YouTube, and that it was kind of it was a bad move for him, especially since he's so big and has such a huge audience of 15 million people.
Do you think that kids could watch that kind of video and like kind of think about suicide themselves, or think like that could be something cool to do just for views?
I think he wanted, his whole thing was to teach someone about it, but I think he kind of created a shockwave that really hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
The suicide is a big thing. You really shouldn't joke about it, and it's hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. When you were at school today, did any of your teachers kind of talk to you about it, or no?
They haven't really said anything. We've just kind of most kids are just talking about it just amongst themselves.
Yeah. Do you think it would help if like parents and teachers were talking about it, or no?
I mean, definitely, because growing up as like a teen and going through all these changes, depression can be really big because you don't know how to take on these problems, and you really certainly like don't want to go ask for help from your parents. That seems like the worst thing to do.
Yeah, is that something that you find a lot of kids don't want to ask for help from their parents? Why do you think that is?
It can be embarrassing, or it can just be like, maybe someone else has the answer. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your one piece of advice for kids out there who see this video and maybe aren't as confident as you and are feeling bad about it? Where would you tell them to go or talk to?
Definitely, if you think something is wrong with you, you should seek out help, physical help, or mental help. You can go to kids.org and to see have some answers, and certainly ask your parents or teachers or any adult or even your friends, because they might have the best advice, and I really think that can help.
My last question is, do you think that kids who are your age should be looking up to Logan Paul? You can answer honestly.
No, because there's dozens of other people that you could be looking up to who have such a broader impact on the world than just someone who picks up a camera and films certain things in their life, especially someone who makes a lot of money and does like outrageous things. It can seem very cool to children because that's something that they don't see every single day, and he keeps making that content, but I think he really stepped over the line with the suicide thing, because he's showing it, his audience ranges from like young age of 5, maybe 7 up to like teens and stuff, and this is a really big deal.
Yeah. So today I learned a lot about social media, I learned a lot about mental health, and I learned a lot about, I think, what needs to be changed in school systems and with faculty and staff. And Elijah especially confirmed my belief that schools don't teach enough about this. He said that none of his teachers were even talking about this or bringing it up. And he also thinks that kids are scared to talk to their parents about it. So I would like to eventually see at some point, maybe with Mint or maybe at just in some period of time, more schools talking openly about this and including this in every class discussion as much as they can, and even potentially showing examples of like 13 reasons why or videos like this to get the kids talking. So my best advice for parents when talking about this kind of stuff is just to, as easily and natural as they can, bring up this topic. Not to be helicopter parents, but if you see something wrong, it's like if you see something, a sketchy bag on a train, say something. If you see something with your kid wrong, like one of the moms I talked to in the grocery store, get them to a therapist, get them to the school psychologist, because you parents can really be the person that can help your kid, and it's so difficult for kids as they're getting older to start talking to their parents. So that's my best advice for you, and from the awesome moms that I spoke to, their best advice is to just get your kids talking and don't be afraid to say something if you see some type of behavior that you think needs to be changed. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you I hope you learned a lot. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out episode 12 of This Is Life Unfiltered, which is up today, about how to deal with anxiety and depression in more in depth. So I'll see you guys on Friday for Sex Ed for Teens. Bye!